Hello and welcome once again to We've Got No Idea What We're Going to Say with Ben Simmons and Nick Murphy.
This is great, isn't it? Because it's like we just don't know anything.
You seem more excited than normal at the beginning of one of these in a kind of childlike wonderment sort of way.
It's just everything's so brilliant. Think about life and imagination.
It is brilliant, but it's not so brilliant that you had to get naked. Why do you keep
Why
doing
did you
it?
do that?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, so we're coming to you naked from London, and it's all brilliant, really, isn't it?
Naked's a good word, but and I think this was in an episode of Coupling, that girls can, by sort of putting the word naked into a conversation, can really unnerve a bloke.
Yeah.
Just sort of saying, we were out there, we were just being completely, crazy. We felt quite naked, actually. And all blokes just sort of stop and have to think for a second.
Yeah, there is a thing about...
It's a good word.
There's not many women in the world where you'd be upset if they were naked.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, there's loads of women in the world I'd be upset if they were naked.
I just mean like knowing they're naked, not like...
Oh, right, okay.
Oh,
well, if you
don't do that.
If there was
like that.
If there was a general, quite a large majority of women who were naked in their day-to-day...
Yeah. You're not...
I'm not loving the idea.
You're really not, are you?
No, because...
How would you monitor the type of women that should be naked if you were in charge of the country?
Whether I thought they were fit or not.
Right, that's it. So all women would have to be vetted by you.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd... What?
So if I was running the country, my main focus, the thing that took up most of my time and resources...
Yeah.
Checking every woman in the country.
Yeah. How are you going to get votes again?
From the blokes.
Blokes will vote for you. I would vote for you.
Who like the girls I like. Because
Yeah.
if they don't have the same taste in women as me, they're going to be disappointed.
You've got to hope, really, that the percentage of the electorate that do bother to vote are blokes with the same taste in women as you.
Is it scary to think if those are the people who voted, I'd be Prime Minister now?
No, what about your other policies? I really don't think if any candidate went, right, look lads, any fit women, we'll get them naked, and all the ugly ones, we'll force them to cover up.
Are you
vote for
seriously
me?
telling me that all the blokes that had the same thing of the same taste in women as me and weren't bothered about much else would go, yeah, that's brilliant, that's awesome. I wonder what his fiscal stability policy is.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the same taste in women as me and weren't that bothered about much else, like life.
So if they were me, if everyone who voted was me,
if
then
you cloned
I'd be
yourself
Prime
a lot of
Minister.
times and then got all your clones to vote for you,
As we've often
you'd have
said-
6 votes. You don't have any cloning equipment. How are you going to do it? And why have I just decided you can do 6 times? How's that going to happen?
I've only got cloning equipment for 6 attempts. Or 5, because I would still be allowed to vote.
And what about the abominations that would come up with at the start before you perfected it?
And they'd be like, look at the abominations. I'd be like, yeah, I haven't made one yet, this is me.
Half Nick, half fetus. What? I've upset
This
myself.
show has broken down very early on. I have to say, just like we've said about many improv shows, but the people who would vote for me, the best people to vote for me, would be lots of versions of me. Just like the people who should come to our improv shows and indeed listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
It would be hugely successful if everyone was us.
So perhaps we ought to take more seriously the cloning procedure and then force all the other Britons to leave.
Because right now we've only got those other 5 people listening that I've cloned from us.
Thank God
2
they
Bens,
voted
2
for the other
Nicks
day.
and 1 Bennick. What?
I don't even want to think about a Bennick. What
I've
would that
thought
be
about
like?
one.
Oh.
Well, they're sort of, they've got chocolate around the outside, sort of mint font. I know that's Bendix.
I can't believe how much I still love you even though you've said those words.
I don't know if it's like I've had a couple of glasses of wine or I'm just obviously feeling like a bit of a tit.
I know in the previous podcast we talked about slightly bizarre things, but this has got bizarre very soon.
Very, very soon. No wasting of time.
But my motto is, if it's got bizarre, don't try and get it back. Just
No.
go with it and stay bizarre. So,
something sensible then.
what can we talk about that's sensible? Pizzas? We had a pizza
we did.
tonight.
We don't often do that, do we?
When we get together, it's rare that we order a pizza in.
Yeah, and definitely not a sort of Pizza Hut pizza. We used to do Pizza Express pizzas.
And then there was the travesty of Golders Green losing its Pizza Express.
That really was a travesty. Do you know, I genuinely, and I mean this, sort of quite. This obviously shows how little I care about anything other than naked women. Pizza Express, or Golders Green losing Pizza Express was a big event in my life, and I haven't really got over it yet.
You need to understand that all the waitresses were naked, though, as well. And were vetted by Nick.
I was the manager of that Golders, you see. All the bloke waiters were like, "You're brilliant, we've got exactly the same way of thinking of you."
Why were all the waiters
from
Russian?
Dracula.
From Dracula, that's it. Transylvanian waiters. Oh, here I
Country
am,
is
I'm
Trans-
going
'cause
to bite
Transylvania
your
is a
neck.
country, but it's not called Transylvania.
But it's not a country,
Is
isn't
it
it actually a
Romania
part
or
of
something?
Romania? Yeah.
There you go.
I think so.
Is it
if
an
you,
area, is it? A part of Romania?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
As far as I'm aware, if you can correct us on that, please email in at the usual address.
What is our address again?
info@wgni.co.uk.
That's awesome that all the way through our radio shows, of which we did, in the, I think, 30-something.
38 episodes.
We used to talk about our email in at the usual address. Now we're doing podcasts, we have a usual address.
Before it was a big joke because we didn't have an email. Now
No.
we have an email. If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in these podcasts and want to castigate us or praise us or send us money, then email in at info@wgni.co.uk.
Is it upsetting that we've now actually, because we're actually broadcasting these podcasts, which before obviously we used to talk about it, we'd never broadcast
There
our
could
radio
be no
shows.
repercussions before.
We're broadcasting our podcasts. We mention the email address every time. We've not had any emails.
Yeah, to be fair, it's still in its infancy.
It is in its infancy.
Our page has had about 15 to 20 hits.
Out of the entire world, the internet, someone might have listened to it. We
Yeah.
still haven't got this on iTunes yet, though, have we?
Well, I think it might be out there somehow, but I haven't really investigated the technicalities of it.
We need to look into the old iTunes thing, don't we?
If you're out there, iTunes, come and find us.
iTunes, tell us.
Thanks.
Please.
I think that's how people do get submitted to iTunes. They record themselves asking iTunes for some help.
That'd be awesome if that was the way. Everybody just recorded themselves asking, and that
What do you think of iTunes as a service?
I use it for podcasts, but listening to other people's podcasts, because
Yeah.
obviously you need to know the competition.
Yeah.
But I kind of don't actually, as a piece of software that sort of organises your music and stuff. I don't love it. I've used others in the past. It is the one I probably use the most, and it's kind of just because it's iTunes and it syncs with your iPod and stuff. And I think if I actually investigated it and got better software, I'd probably find something that I'd liked a lot better.
But it does feel like they've kind of got a monopoly on
Monopoly,
it. And monopoly, yeah. And made it feel that you have to get iTunes to get music and stuff like that. I was quite pleased when Amazon started doing downloads for about half the price of iTunes downloads for a while, but I think it's kind of gone back up now.
I think I remember a lot of people's big complaints about Apple and iTunes in general, because I know obviously the listeners won't know this, but we were talking about the possibility of you buying yourself an actual Apple laptop, weren't you?
Yes, we were.
And I think generally speaking, although obviously I'm much more of a PC man myself,
Yeah, politically correct.
Yeah, shut up. Apple stuff is generally quite good, but one of the biggest complaints people have about iTunes and stuff like that is that it ties you into all the Apple stuff. So it's hard once you've sort of got everything in the Apple format. You can't share it with other things and stuff quite that easily.
What's going to happen about Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin's baby?
See, I don't know the name of, and I think it's a stupid celebrity baby name.
Yeah.
Probably something to do with apples.
I think you've just said the name of it, but in the plural with
Apple. His name is
It's
Apple.
called Apple Martin. Which is stupid,
It
clearly.
really is stupid, and it's made me annoyed with Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin. I just can't ever imagine, however big a celebrity I become, however huge a celebrity my wife is, going, apple. Except
Maybe.
if I was eating an apple.
Maybe they were going for that thing of when Elvis was born, no one had ever been called Elvis before, so they thought maybe they give their kid a name that no one had ever had before, and it might be cool in the future.
Is that true, that no one had been called Elvis?
I think so.
I'm quite surprised, but anyway, I kind of don't mind that so much sort of making up a name, but apple isn't a name.
I see what you mean.
Fruit.
It's already something
it's
that
a word
exists.
that we all know and use regularly.
Yeah.
It upset me. It's upset me more than I thought it would. I've taken it to heart.
Is there any other fruits they could have named their baby after that wouldn't have upset you as much?
Mango?
Mango would have been better, actually. Quite cool for a boy.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
quite
mango.
like that.
Mango.
Yeah. That works for me. Whereas boysenberry was never going to catch on.
No, I think... why did you name all your children boysenberry? Including
Because
the
I
girls?
haven't had any children. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
So, what is your favourite fruit? If you had to say...
Oh, wow, that's a good question.
Because mine is easy for me. I can't really be bothered with anything. Bananas, they're just quite easy.
Really?
They're there, you just peel them, you eat them. For some reason, I find eating all other fruits more annoying than eating a banana.
No. Don't get me wrong. I love a good banana. Me and bananas go back a long way.
How long?
About
32
6 inches.
2 years. Sorry, I didn't
32
realise.
years? I'm not 32. Bananas in the womb.
Did your mum not eat bananas when she was pregnant?
Womb. Bananas in the womb, yes. I'm going to qualify my answer to your question.
Please do. We're all waiting.
We are waiting. I love a good melon,
Right? Yeah.
which I think is a fruit, isn't it?
Yeah. In the summertime, melons can be very, very cooling and thirst quenching.
Yeah, and one of my absolute favourite dishes, if I'm at a restaurant, or even if I'm doing stuff for myself, is melon and parma ham.
That's crazy.
Ham's not a fruit. I want to make that clear that I know that ham
I
is
think
not a fruit.
we are able to combine our general knowledge to confirm that.
If anyone thinks ham is a fruit, you're wrong. I also, and I kind of don't love them as much when I'm eating them, but the juice of them is brilliant, and one of my favourite drinks of all time, the peach.
See, I can't really explain it with a peach. You eat a peach and then it gets too drippy and juicy and it gets annoying.
That's kind of why I said it's not so much the fruit itself, but the sort of pulp, the juice of the fruit in a glass.
But then
is
it's got
awesome.
a stone as well that you've got to deal with the
Not in the
aftermath.
glass, you don't. As I said,
But if you want to do something with a peach, you've got to deal with the stone that's in it.
my regular, obviously my apples, my bananas. I do like a sort of a satsuma. You can't go wrong with a
It's
satsuma.
the time to peel it.
But it's the reward afterwards. The orange, which I don't use that often, but I do like using my orange juice squeezer to make fresh orange.
But hang on, the
Hang
reward
on.
afterwards, it's
Yeah.
not made of gold.
The juicy satsuma-y goodness.
Alright, sorry, I feel I've made you stop your thought process.
But I finally think, because it has been a thought process, and I'm glad you've come with me on this journey, dear podcast listeners, and Ben himself.
I thought you were just calling me dear for a minute then.
Dear Ben,
Thanks.
I've come to a conclusion, I think, and I think this is my favourite fruit.
Tell us the conclusion.
It's one I had quite a few of today,
Right.
and it does have one nasty side effect, but it's the grape, the humble, honest to goodness British grape.
Is your favourite of all the fruits?
I think it is.
There you go.
I love a bloody grape.
What I like is that you probably couldn't have answered straight away when I asked you that question, and you've had to work through
I
some
genuinely
fruits.
didn't think of grape until about 30 seconds ago,
Yeah.
and now I've thought of it, I'm pleased.
But then you've got the dilemma, red or green.
Ooh, now, I do have a way round that.
Yeah.
As Dougal would say when he was eating,
Is this
Salt
Dougal
and
from the
vinegar
Magic
from-
Roundabout or
from
Dougal from Father
Father
Ted?
Ted.
Yeah.
he'd say, I've got the salt and vinegar crisps, the cheese and onion crisps, and what I do is I put them together and eat them at the same time. He's not Welsh, obviously. And I quite often, see, it gets even more complicated. It's not just a simple put one red and one green grape in your mouth.
Yeah.
I bet you really wish you'd not asked this question.
I'm
I've
kind
never
of-
seen you looking so bored and wanting to kill
I'm
me.
kind of losing the will to keep breathing.
Right, 2 reds and a green, same time. That's your golden combo.
You know what you've done there? You've made rosé grapes, haven't you? That proved. Do you like rosé wine better than white or red wine?
No, I like red best, then white, then rosé, but I do like all of them.
Right. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
You ask me these questions,
I'm not-
don't be upset.
I kind of was semi-facetious, but semi-pleased that we got to the end of it.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to know. I was able to
Great
answer...
deal of this podcast has been about my fruit.
Yeah, whereas I just said bananas at the start, and that was it, really.
In many ways, I wish I'd taken a
Do you-
leaf out of your banana tree.
Do you get annoyed?
Banana tree's not a tree.
No, and isn't banana not a fruit? It's a herb.
you're right,
I
yeah.
think I've upset myself there
Yeah.
with remembering that from QI.
So you've got to change your answer now, because that was
Peach, bloody bastard, drippy fruit. I love it. No, but
drippy, hairy, stone-having bastard. And then there's peaches as well.
of course we were talking about Mick Jagger's parents before. What? What annoys me is what I've just done to myself is when you talk about all those things that you think are fruits and aren't fruits, or
Yeah.
that you think are vegetables and are actually fruits, like tomatoes are a fruit and bananas aren't fruits. It kind of ruins what
So many berries aren't actually berries in the
Yeah.
strictest definition of the
And isn't
word.
it something like strawberry isn't a berry?
No,
'cause it's
it's
got all
not
the
a berry.
seeds in it. On
No,
top
the seeds
of it,
are outside.
on the surface
It's
rather
got
than
to
in
have
it.
one seed in it if it's a berry.
Yeah. So
Let's not get into this.
okay, let's abandon all talk
started
of
quite
naturally
well.
growing
This is-
foods.
It has become like Gardener's Question
Let's
time podcast.
let's go completely off the page and talk about artificially growing foods. No, let's not.
I'm growing a mint tree plant in my kitchen.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm
Is
quite
it really
excited about it.
cannabis?
No, it's not. Although my big jar of dried mint tea does look like a massive jar of weed.
Have you ever tried to smoke it?
I haven't, but I know some people who've discussed the possibility of me letting them.
It surely wouldn't have the same properties as cannabis
No, but it probably smell nice.
and clean out your sinuses.
Be good for the digestion.
Excellent.
There you go. Smoke tea for health. You heard it here third.
Third.
Yeah, don't do that, by the way. If any of you are listening and think, yeah, well, they've said it's healthy, I was probably... I mean, it could be, but I'm probably wrong.
Well, you could be wrong, but we don't.
It would be a fluke if I was right.
Yeah, and also you don't want to completely discourage people from it if it's got medicinal properties or something.
Yeah, but again, I can't...
Probably better to just stick to the tea bags.
Generally speaking, it's probably more... It's probably less benefits than there are...
Can
What-
I just
what am I trying- I'm trying to say...
don't smoke peppermint tea?
Smoke peppermint tea.
Yeah.
Because the risks outweigh the benefits.
Yeah.
I wish I could speak.
We got
well.
there in the end. Don't go to your cupboard full of tea bags and do anything with lighting it and putting it near
Just
your face
put hot water on it
and drink it.
in a cup.
Can you
Right.
do cannabis tea?
Almost certainly. I've never had any.
I know you
but
can do cakes with cannabis in, can't you?
can.
You must.
Yes, I've
You
had
know
one.
that,
I
well
have, I have. I do know that. No, I had it in Amsterdam where it's not illegal. I had a cake
Yeah,
with a
but
cup.
talking about it in Britain is also
It's
not
just
illegal.
not-
Yes, we've got past the system finally. Take that, government.
I went to a legal country where legal things happened and was
Right.
legally eating
Are
it.
there any illegal countries?
Yep.
A country that isn't legally a country. Wasn't there a programme on a while ago? I can't remember if it was Dave Gorman or someone
It was
else.
Dave Gorman's
Tried to
mate.
start his own country.
He set up his own bedroom as its own country, and I forget the name of... what's his name now? It's really annoying.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was Yes Man that turned into a film with Jim Carrey.
Ah,
He
yeah.
wrote that book.
Yes. Did
I
anything
found-
happen as a result of that? I never heard anything afterwards.
I don't remember now. No, I didn't see the end of the series. I'm glad we talked about
To
that.
be fair, he kind of had a lot of immigration problems in his
He did
bedroom.
have a lot of people who wanted to be citizens of his new country, I remember. Because I remember, and it might have even been with you, walking through Leicester Square and there was loads of people and it was like they were all waiting to see him.
I don't think that was with me. We would have talked about it. I don't remember.
Right, don't know.
I can remember being stood in Leicester Square, possibly waiting for you or someone else, and a man came up to me and went,
Hang on, just want to clarify. Possibly waiting for me or someone else. Yeah.
Yes, what I'm getting at is I wasn't just randomly standing there on my own.
Carry on.
And a man came up to me and went, "Do you want some drugs?" Like that, and kind of did that opening his jacket thing, which you think kids just make up and doesn't really happen. And I was like, no. And I accidentally still bought some.
Yes.
Oops.
Oh no.
Yeah, but no, I've never done drugs ever in my life. So you've been Amsterdam bad cake, man.
That's literally the only drugs I've ever done in my life.
Right,
and I have to say, it had no effect on me whatsoever.
We don't endorse drugs. We don't endorse smoking tea. We do endorse drinking it. I think it's over to Nick to finish. Thanks.
Well, whatever you do in life, love, or amateur dramatics, kids, listen. Just say no.